Welcome back students to the online classes, and this is your Naima Bis taking your physics class. So we are going to continue with the matter around us, and today's topic is effect of temperature. Okay, so we'll see whether there is an effect of temperature on the solids, liquids, and whatever gases and all. Okay, so first we'll go with the uh, this experiment, that is, if you take let us take some ice cubes. Okay, we are going to take some ice cubes and place it in a conical flask, and this conical flask we will just start heating up. Okay, so at the same time we will place a thermometer. So this is your thermometer. Okay, what is this? This is your thermometer. This is your thermometer. Okay, so we are just going to start to observe what is the changes going to take place. Okay, so what we will observe, we will note that the ice will slowly start melting. Okay, and every few seconds we will be measuring the temperature. What is the temperature? Okay, so we will observe that after some times the whenever we are measuring, we are going to immerse the thermometer in the ice for few minutes. After few minutes, we are going to 2 minutes, like we will take 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, every 2 minutes we are going to measure the temperature. Then the level of mercury remains the same while ice melts. Okay, ice will be melting, but the temperature whenever we are observing will remain same. Sorry. This means that temperature is constant. So this constant temperature in which ice will melt is called as melting point. What it is called? It is called as melting point, and that is nothing but 0 degrees Celsius. So what is the melting point? It is nothing but melting point is 0 degrees Celsius. Okay, so then again after that also we will let it melt. Okay, so then we will observe after sometimes again we will let it heat. We will start heating it. Then take some water in a beaker, immerse the thermometer in it and start heating the water. It will start boiling slowly. We have to at some times, like after 2 to 3 minutes we will be taking the recording the temperature, that is thermometer reading. Okay, then we will see at a point after some point you will see that the thermometer is giving the same constant reading. Okay, the thermometer is not increasing the reading. That means the that constant point is called as boiling point. Okay, what it is called? It is called as boiling point, and this is given as boiling point is 100 degrees Celsius. Always do remember the melting point of water is 0 degrees Celsius and the boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius. Okay, so what do we observe now? We have observed the melting of the water, ice into water. Okay, so this melting, the process of melting is called as of solid into liquid is called as fusion. Okay, what it is called? Fusion. Fusion means nothing but melting. What it is called? Fusion. Okay, fusion is nothing but melting. The melting point of substance depend on the strength of the force of attraction among the particles. So now, more the attraction between the particles, more the fusion, more speed the fusion. Okay, higher the attraction, higher is the fusion. So the heat energy absorbed by the ice without showing any rise in temperature is used up in the changing the state by overcoming the force of attraction among the particles. So here particles in water at 0 degrees have more energy as compared to the particles in the ice at same temperature, because the particle absorbs the heat during this process of conversion from ice to water, isn't it? So the amount of heat energy that is required to overcome the force of attraction among the particles to change the state is given by the latent heat of substance. Okay, So whatever the latent heat of fusion is, that is, what is latent of heat of fusion? It is nothing but the amount of heat energy required to change 1 kg of solid completely into the liquid at atmospheric pressure at its melting point. At the same melting point, whatever amount of heat energy required to convert 1 kg of solid into liquid, okay, at the given atmospheric pressure, is nothing but latent heat of fusion. I hope you have understood what I want to say. What is latent heat of fusion? Latent heat of fusion, again I repeat, it is nothing but the amount of heat energy required to change the 1 kg of solid completely into liquid at atmospheric pressure and at its melting point. So I hope you all have understood what is latent heat of fusion. Okay, but there is like particles in water vapor have absorbed additional energy in the form of heat, latent heat of vaporization also. Like when the water is getting evaporated, you can see that latent heat of vaporization also is there. Here you can see, because it is liquid, we can say it is latent heat of fusion. Whereas if you see the evaporation, you can say wherever the vaporization is taking place, there you can say latent heat of vaporization. But there in some cases you can even see that the a substance will directly get converted, like solid form will be directly getting converted into gaseous form. Okay, there are some cases where you will see that the liquid form is not seen. Yeah. So there is we have learned that solid is getting converted into liquid, then it is converted into gas. But here there are some stages where there are some substances which get converted directly from solid to gaseous form. So this process is called as sublimation. What is this called? Sublimation. This process is called as sublimation. There is no liquid state formation here. Directly the solid gets converted into gases. For example, the solid gas also directly gets converted into uh, solid without any liquid state. Okay, for example, you can say naphthalene balls. You know naphthalene balls, which we use for like mm, which we use in like we have uh, to avoid the pesticides, like to avoid cockroaches, we use small balls, na, white color balls. They are nothing but naphthalene balls. We have ammonium chloride, we have kapoor. Even the kapoor, see, when you are burning it, it is not converting into liquid, it's directly getting evaporated into atmosphere. We have same like incense sticks, agarbattis and all. So these are all the things which get directly from the solid form to the gaseous form. They don't require any liquid form. This is called as sublimation. What is this called? It is called as sublimation. The conversion of solid form into directly gaseous form is called as sublimation. So we have learned about the effect of temperature. Now we will learn about the effect of change of pressure on the change of state. So we will take solid carbon dioxide, or you say like, do you remember the combustion, fuel and flame lesson we have learned in our previous class, in our 8th class, right? The solid carbon dioxide converts directly into gaseous state when the pressure is decreased to 1 atmospheric pressure. Due to this reason, the solid carbon dioxide is also called as dry ice. So thus we can say that pressure and temperature define the state of a substance, whether it will be solid, liquid or gas, isn't it? So next, coming to the evaporation. The See, you have experienced drying of wet clothes in air, isn't it? You have experienced evaporation. We will learn now evaporation. Okay, how does the wet clothes, whatever we keep for drying, how does it gets dried? Of course, the process of evaporation takes place. In this process, water directly changes into vapor without reaching its boiling point. Without reaching its boiling point. See, vaporization, when does it takes place? When we are boiling a lot of like when the water is reaching its boiling point, the vaporization takes place, and thus the water gets evaporated. But without boiling point, the water is getting evaporated, then that is called as vaporization. So the phenomena of change of liquid into vapor at any temperature below its boiling point is called as evaporation. I hope you have understood what is evaporation, isn't it? So evaporation. Do you think evaporation does any if you're taking like if you're taking glass and in this water is there, so what do you think the evaporation will take when compared to a bowl like this? Okay, if you're taking a bowl like this and water is present, or you can say a saucer like this and water is present here. Okay, comparatively, where do you think the water will get evaporated faster? Exactly, this saucer. Saucer in this water will get evaporated more faster when compared to the bowl, when compared to the glass. So in glass, the vaporization will take place very slower compared to the bowl when compared to the saucer. So that means area, it depends on the surface area. More the surface area, more the evaporation will take place. Lesser the surface area, lesser the evaporation will take place. That is, here you have less surface area, here you have a little more surface area. Where here you have an open area, exactly, all the water can evaporate very easily. So that means surface area depends it affects the vaporization. And similarly, if you have a humidity, if you have high humidity, that means the evaporation will take place so slower, isn't it? um, it is nothing but, what is humidity? Humidity is nothing but amount of water vapor present in air. So more the water vapor, amount of more water vapor present in air will decrease the evaporization. Okay, if less amount of water vapor is present in air, that means the evaporation can take place faster. Less the humidity, you can see that more the less the humidity, more the evaporation. Whereas if you have more the humidity, if you have more the humidity, less the evaporation. If you have less the humidity, more the evaporation. So that means surface of area affects the evaporation and humidity also affects the evaporation. Similarly, when you have like wind, because in atmosphere we have wind also, so if does the wind also affect? Yes, wind also affect the uh, evaporation. And how? See, in summers you can see that your clothes will dry faster, isn't it? In summer you can see the clothes will dry faster when compared to the rainy and winter season. Why? Because the vapor particles, the water vapor is carried away faster in the summer season by the wind. Okay, wind will carry away the vapors, water vapors present in the air faster. That's why the clothes will dry faster, that is evaporation will takes place faster in the summer season. Whereas in rainy season and in winter season, the wind is like it cannot carry away the water particles faster. That's why the evaporation will takes place slowly, and hence your clothes will also dry very slow. That means the surface area, humidity and wind, this affects the evaporation, right? So one more example, we can say that why do you get sweat on working or physical exercises? Whenever you're doing physical exercises, you will get sweat, but again you will find that your sweat gets evaporated and you feel very cool. Why does this happens? The particles of liquid absorb energy required for evaporation from your body. That whatever heat is getting out from your body, it will absorb that energy and gets evaporated, and that escape of the liquid, that is your sweat from your body, that makes you feel more cooler. Okay, So that means you have like a surface area, and humidity and wind affects your evaporation. And with this we complete our first lesson, that is matter around us. I hope you all have understood clearly, and if you have any doubts, please come back to me, as I'm always available. And yes, you can go revise the or you can rewind the video once and twice, and you can check out whether you have a clear picture regarding the lesson. And you can just repeat the video and watch. You can go with the other parts also, the other three parts whatever we have completed till now, and just try to understand the lesson with a clear clarity. And I hope you have understood till here. uh, till then, okay, let us meet in the next video. Till then, take care. Bye.